everyone, it's Shane Conto, your Wasteland reviewer, and welcome to the Wasteland Watchlist here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network. And this is my weekly show where my guests and I play some movie roulette from my obnoxious, completely random watch list of 8,300 films at the moment of all kinds of different stuff you can choose from. You'll never know. We could be talking about a film that's 2 minutes, or this one that's 3 hours and 39 minutes. And joining me this episode is my friend and crew member. It's Luke.
Hello, Shane, and thank you for having me back again.
Yeah, and we got a lot of background on this one. And we are talking about the infamous film Heaven's Gate. So this film originally released November 19th, 1980, only 11 years to the day before I was born. Because yes, November 19th, my birthday, and then
Nice.
was pulled from theaters after a week, and we released wide in April 24th, 1981. And we'll certainly get to why. This film had a budget of $44 million and made $3.5 million.
Whew,
Yeah.
whew.
This is based on Johnson County War between land barons and uh peasant immigrants that were struggling. Production had plenty of legendary setbacks. Director Michael Cimino accused of authoritarian behavior on set. Condemned as one of the worst films ever made. Considered the fall of the director-driven filmmaking of the new Hollywood movement. This is when the studios took power back, and we've never gone back since. And look at it today. This bankrupted United Artists. Re-edits of the film have gotten critical acclaim, including the 3 hour and 39 minute cut of this film. There's a lot of historical basis for a lot of the names in the film, but they
Mhm.
definitely did not reflect the actual human beings that whose names they belong to.
Yes.
The script was finished in 1971, and the likes of John Wayne and plenty others turned down the film, and which is why it took until later. UA picked up the project days before the Deer Hunter won big at the Academy Awards. So they were like, this Michael Cimino guy is going to win a bunch of awards for his film. We got to get on this.
Hmm.
The initial budget given to the film was $11.6 million.
Yep.
It quadrupled. Wild. Filmed near Glacial National Park in Montana. The Oxford was used for the Harvard stand-in because Harvard didn't want them shooting that sequence there.
Hmm.
50 takes per scene for most of the film. 50 takes of a film that's 3 hours and 39 minutes long.
Originally, it was
Wild.
5 hours and 20 minutes, 5.5 hours, I think.
5 hours, 25 minutes. And his exact quote was, but we'll probably cut about 20 of it.
Yep.
5 hour movie. John Williams turned down composing this film. Norman Jewison almost replaced Cimino. The studio almost fired him
Mhm.
to bring in Norman Jewison, who had previously directed Fiddler on the Roof, which also would be kind of interesting to see his perspective on this because it's also a similar story of uh like a group of people dealing with this like tyranny and pushing them down. Um they nicknamed Cimino the Ayatollah on
Yep.
set. Yes, the original cut was 5 hours and 25 minutes. This was originally supposed to release December 1979. So
Mhm.
11 months later, it got its 1 week release and then got pulled again and then got put out 6 months later. Its 1 week run in New York really failed miserably. Like basically nobody was going to the screenings of the film. And the when it was re-released in April 1981, it was 2 hours and 29 minutes,
Okay.
which is the version that they have on MGM Plus streaming service here in
Ah.
the United States. Which when I pulled that up and I'm like, hell no. I'm like, I'm not watching this version.
I
And,
was gonna ask, so okay, okay. Hmm.
I put on one of my other hats and, you know, found the
I wonder
original.
which one. I wonder which hat you're
I,
referring to.
I wonder which one, Luke.
Yeah.
This actually began its big reassessment because the 3 hour 39 minute cut was released at Cannes and they played it there. And like I mentioned, this was the end of the new Hollywood movement of director driven
Mhm.
filmmaking. American Humane Association did not like this movie because some of the horrible things that they were accused of doing to animals, like bleeding them out, gutting them, and using their blood and organs for
Mhm.
human blood and organs throughout the film, which that's some wild stuff.
Yep.
Wild stuff. This is an Oscar nominated film, best art direction.
I was gonna say one Oscar, yes.
It was up for the Palme d'Or at Cannes originally, but its biggest success was five five-time Razzie nominated film, including worst director for Michael Cimino. But Luke, what were your general thoughts on this humongous piece of cinema?
And now second biggest success is us talking about it on your podcast. So like don't be so, humble, Shane, of course. We need to, And before I need to bring up three trivia from IMDb just very briefly because this movie is fascinating. So the first one, wondering why they were paying so much to rent the land where they were filming, United Artists checked the local records. The owner turned out to be writer and director Michael Cimino. So I was like, so damn, he was getting paid twice. Okay. Sir John Hurt spent so long waiting around for something to do that he made the Elephant Man, the entire movie with David Lynch, came back to shoot more scenes for this movie. And the last, which is fascinating, this one. So Isabel Huppert, which I think she's an objectively beautiful woman, was cast as Ella over objections of United Artists executives. So Michael Cimino was, interested in casting her, like he fought for her. Okay, good for him. But they were still unhappy, and even at one point, Stephen Back, apparently one of the producers, said to Cimino to his face that the leading lady was so unappealing that the audience was going to wonder why Chris Christopherson and Christopher Walken, quote, weren't fucking each other instead of her. Chimino told him to go fuck himself. When I saw these, I was like, yeah, this must have been a wild production. Apparently, there's a documentary narrated by Willem Dafoe, who was cut from this movie, by the way. That is a document I really want to see this. Anyway, so this movie, holy fuck. Talk about an epic that fails to be an epic. Like, we might have done a podcast just before this, hint, hint, and about very long movies being very long, and how I don't mind if they bring me on this journey with them. And goddamn, was I not feeling I was on this journey with these people? Like, this is just a. It's so frustrating because you can see flashes of brilliance here and there, and you can see the story, the themes, the actual narrative. If it was about 2 hours, I think this could have been an actual masterpiece because there is a story to be told. There's themes about like hey, I don't like these immigrants coming here and claiming everything. No, we should do something about it. Sounds familiar? Yes. So like it's there is something there. I don't think it should. Well, first of all, it definitely should not be 5 hours 25 minutes. And the copy I watched, the 3 hour 39 minutes or 36 or whatever. Also, I don't think it had to be that. But yeah, like it's fine. Like my general thoughts, it's a fine movie. It's on a low side of fine. I gave it 5 out of 10, 2.5 out of 5. And I think I'm being generous and fair because there are sequences I'm like, really? This is it? Okay. Oh, this is a good one. Okay, okay. Okay. Really? This is it? Okay. And it's just like so frustrating because for every great sequence or every great, oh yeah, that was a good performance, good scene, you get like 10 minutes of like, really?
I was gonna say like 30 minutes
See,
in between. Like,
I'm a generous person.
yeah,
No, what did you? So tell me, Shane, what did you
I
think?
had, well, first off, I'm gonna read the actual synopsis of the film. It's not very long.
Oh yeah.
During the Johnson County War in 1890, Wyoming, a sheriff born into wealth does his best to protect immigrant farmers from rich cattle interests. This film has a lot of the same critiques that I had of The English Patient on the other podcast that we just recorded for the Wasteland retrospective, which you all could go check out here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network. Is that there are scenes that stand out in this film, and then I just didn't buy into the story threading them all together
Yes.
because they have a wait. I know that they heavily edited the Harvard sequence at the beginning
Mm-hmm.
um in the other versions of the film, but like sure, you set up this whole entire situation where like Chris Christopherson's, he came from a wealthy family. He's graduating from Harvard. He has this whole big life ahead of him. And then the whole rest of the film is this very different experience that
Mm-hmm.
he winds up putting himself into.
Yeah.
And sure, I think it's interesting to have that he's graduating from Ivy League school, but like the long dancing sequences and just gratuitous dancing sequence, which like you could have cut like 10 minutes off the runtime here. And I appreciate like honestly, you could have just had the sequence where you had Joseph Cotton, who also like incredible actor of like earlier Hollywood of Citizen Kane fame and stuff like that. Like you could have had that sequence and just that sold it. You have Christopherson at Harvard. He has this big speech. His life is ahead of him, and then he goes off. But everything about this film feels like it's double the time that it really needed to be on screen because you could have easily went through and just trimmed so much of this and leaned this movie out.
Yes.
And then you have such an incredible talented cast of actors because you have Chris Christopherson, Christopher Walken, John Hurt, Sam Waterston, Brad Dourif, Isabelle Huppert, Joseph Cotton, Jeff Bridges, Ronnie Hawkins, like so many people. Which also Chris Christopherson and Jeff Bridges totally could play family members
It was one of
in a
my
movie.
notes. That was one of my notes. I swear I was gonna get there. I was
They
like,
look so
I,
much alike.
I never like I was gonna say I never realized, especially in this era with beards, when they both have beards on, they literally look like brothers. I was like, is that Beau Bridges, like his actual brother? No, that's Chris. Oh, that's Chris Christo. Holy
Yeah.
fuck! I was like, that's scary. I was like, sometimes like in a scene, I was like, wait, is this Chris or oh no, that's okay. It's Jeff Bridges
Mhm.
because he's got the accent here. Okay. Yeah.
Which I think Chris Christopherson gives a fine performance here. I've definitely seen him better. Like
Yes.
I still need to watch Stars Born, his version with Barbara. But
Bob.
like Alice doesn't live here anymore. He's great in that Scorsese film. Honestly, I think he's great in Blade as
I was kind
Whistler.
of jokingly gonna say, like, don't
Like
forget Blade.
he is great in Blade. Look,
Yes.
he does have that talent. I feel like too many of the performers get lost in the shuffle of this film because it's too big that you kind of
Yes.
lose the impact of their presence and their character in this too big a scope of a film that loses the like there's supposed to be a love triangle at the center of this and it's just like you don't feel it because
No.
it's interesting because this does the exact opposite feeling of English Patient because like the English Patient barely leverages the historical context. This one feels like similar to me in like Gangs in New York, where the historical context becomes too big
Hmm.
that it overshadows like the dramatic core of the movie by the end. Like this is supposed to be about this man's journey, this love, and this conflict. It's a pretty intimate personal conflict. Like, but like the end, was this important? When like the whole entire thing turns into like this war going on between, because
Hmm.
like one of the most memorable things about this film, probably the most memorable thing to me, is all the shootouts, which also,
Hmm.
this is wild, brutal, violent shootouts and stuff like that. It's crazy. That shootout towards the end of the film, which only took 3 hours and 15 minutes to get to up to that point. Like people's
Apparently that
limbs were.
shootout, apparently that shootout in that original cut was like feature length long. That entire scene in that original 5.5 hour cut was like almost like a pretty much feature length long scene. Think about it.
It's like Avatar: The Way of Water, where that whole entire final action sequence is like 50 minutes. Like,
Imagine that.
it's
But that's
like,
good. But wait, but we are talking about, Heaven's Gate
yes.
and Avatar is good. I'll
Well,
down
I
this.
would say like this is brutal and visceral for sure.
Hmm. Sure.
But like, it's hard to feel invested at this point when I've gone through 3 hours, 15 minutes of like, what are we doing here? And I was shocked which one, I was not shocked that like Christopher Walken got shot and killed. Like,
Hmm.
that was like that obviously was going to happen at some point, which also he's very steely, and
Yes.
Christopher Walken mustache, very creepy to me.
Hmm.
Um, there's 50 minutes left in the movie when your main antagonist got shot and killed. I'm like, what's gonna happen after this point? Like, at that point, the main personal conflict of the story's over,
Hmm.
because like the love triangle's over. He's the direct force against Christopherson. It's just like it's gone. Now
Yeah.
it has to really focus on this bigger scope piece of it, because then what are you going to do for 50 more minutes?
Hmm. Like, look, I I think it's been a while since I can see something like this. I genuinely feel like the director stood in the way of this being a great movie. I think you can tell he wanted everything to be perfect. He wanted everything to be his way to
Hmm.
detriment of the movie. For example, even the battle sequence at the end and all the shootouts. Yeah, they were brutal. Yeah, but he wanted to be so method and so like, oh, everything needs to look proper, like it would look that. There was a lot of fucking smoke, and I'm like, wait, what's happening here? like,
Yep.
like okay, I'm all for this would have been like this. Yes, it's a battlefield. Of course, there is some smoke, but holy fuck, I couldn't see shit. Like, I'm like, I cannot see who is actually surviving, or where our characters are. I was like, what? I was so like so there is a so I think the phrase "kill your darlings," right? And mostly when we say this, like movie people when they say this, we talk about editing. And sure, this movie can use some, as you mentioned, the dancing and all that, 100%. But I think the restraint as a director to be like, hey, just because there'll be a lot of smoke on a battlefield and all that, doesn't mean we need it to that extent. I would argue not, because that makes your movie not that particular scene not great for an audience to be like, who's this? Oh yeah, oh that's him. Oh yeah,
I
okay,
couldn't tell
okay.
who's getting shot at anymore. I'm just
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
then there's no emotional weight. They're just
And
bodies.
yes, and you can tell he wanted to make his next like magnum opus so badly, he forgets about his characters because like we get so all the major three like John Hurt, we had Chris Christopherson and like young Isabel Huppert on in Harvard, right? And I was like, oh yeah, it's gonna be between like it's gonna be about like John Hurt being his friend turned enemy and all that, and yet to a point it's there. But really, he then just stands in the middle of battle and babbles because he cannot handle what's happening around him. And I'm like, you have John Hurt. And suddenly, he brings nothing to that movie. If that character, like, he only thing he does memorable in that movie is actually being the only guy in that room who objects to the 125 people being killed, right? Has it? And then he babbles about how Paris is lovely. I was in Paris last year, and I'm like, is that really his contribution to this entire movie? I'm not even being facetious. Am I? Is there something I missed with his character specifically, Shane? With John Hurt?
The fact that this is a 3 hour and 39-minute movie and you lack characterization in your characters is really
Mm-hmm.
concerning. Like, I like John Hurt's like the third listed person on
Yes.
IMDb for this movie, and I'm like, barely remember him being in the movie.
Christopher Walken is there much more than John Hurt, but again,
Yeah,
it's not even that point. That's
Jeff
not
Bridges is
even
in
about
this
a
movie a lot more than John
much
Hurt is.
more, 100
Much
percent.
more.
And it's not even a screenplay. Sorry, it's not about a screen time. It's more about, oh yeah, he's set up as this, like when he says these are the good times and they are gone when they are celebrating, like being like graduation from Harvard, and he says like, oh, these are, and I'm like, oh, is this gonna be like, about like living life and like all that, and like some mistakes you make, all that. Oh, that's gonna be interesting. That's gonna be, and nothing. No, it's not about that at all. And I'm like, okay, I understand movies got a movie, but then John Hurt is not in the movie for most of it, and then he just suddenly appears for the last battle. I'm like, oh, you're back. Hi, nice to see you again. And then he just babbles about, I used to, this time last year I was in Paris. That was lovely. I was like, the fuck? What are you doing to my boy?
It's at that point, it's like I almost completely forgot about this character because I felt like this was 2 movies ago.
Yep.
That's the vibe of this film is that like John Hurt's character didn't even need to be in the opening scene.
No.
Like you just needed to show that like Averill went to Harvard, he hears Joseph Cotton's speech, and that could have been it.
Like
And then
realistically,
his
more
whole
impactful,
life,
Christopher Walken should have been there. Like if anybody should be at the Harvard scene, it should have been Christopher Walker because again, we established the love triangle, right? No.
well, and that's the thing because this film doesn't know how much or how or when to focus on whatever story that it has in its
Yes.
hands, which is why it feels so muddled. And like the issue isn't just the length, it's the
Hmm.
storytelling, it's the structure, it's the character work. Like people saying this is the worst movie ever made is a ridiculous extreme, and
No, it's not.
this shouldn't been nominated. Like I could have seen maybe Michael Cimino getting nominated for a Razzie for worst director because like he did not handle this film at all. Your job
Hmm.
as a director is to conduct the symphony,
Yes.
and whatever the hell he was doing was not conducting the symphony. And there's just there's was that impressive, the roller skating music playing and stuff like that? Sure.
Hmm.
Why was it in the movie?
Fuck knows.
You wanted to show off the music. So there you
Yeah, I
go.
guess.
There's so many scenes that you could go through this movie and be like, why is this here? What does this serve as? And you could have done so much more world building, much more efficiently and effectively. And it just makes me really upset because they wasted so many talented actors in this movie.
Hmm. See, I would almost oppose in this. I think the world building is fine because again, like the core of this movie about this war, about the tension between immigrants and the like natives, right? Even John Hurt says, "Oh, we cannot just kill them all like we did with Indians." And I'm like, the story and the actual world building, I think it's fine. It's just all the fluff that's around that world building, you get lost again with the characters.
Well, I
There's a
think
scene where,
he
oh, mhm,
I think he's trying to add more world building through that fluff. And I'm like, you didn't need all that
yes,
extra fluff. You already did a good
okay,
enough job of setting up this world. So
fair,
that was my point. This
not fair.
could have been
Hmm.
more efficient because there were things that you didn't need because you already did it.
Hmm. Like I to me, like there was, for example, there's a scene where Christopherson tells Isabel Huber, "Hey, people are coming to kill all of you. Your name is literally on the list. We should get out of here." No, I couldn't. And I'm like, all right. I get it, but at the same time, like we only spent so little time in this bloated movie with them that that scene, like I don't understand why. Like she explains, but like I don't really understand her as character as much to that in that point, which if I'm not mistaken, it's already like 2 hours in. And again, she is one of the main characters. If about 2 hour mark, you still don't really understand her
No,
motivations, what she's about, like, only see her, oh yeah, she's a beautiful looking woman, and she's got this kind of quasi relationship with Chris Christopherson and possibly with Christopher Walken, and is running this brothel. Okay. All right.
that's the biggest sin of this movie. You had 3 hours and 39 minutes of runtime, and you couldn't make your characters more interesting.
You had 5 hours, 35 minutes.
Yeah.
I will harp
Well,
on this forever. 5 hours, 35.
it's just if you make a film this big in length,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
should not have cookie cutter characters.
No.
What are you doing then? What are you doing? What are you doing with your runtime? And that's the biggest sin of this film is like I really don't think Cimino really knew what he was trying to do here.
I think he genuinely was trying to create another like American epic. Like the Magnus Open for his time.
Oh
Let's
yeah.
see how it used to be, right? I think to a point I still haven't seen it, but I think to the point where Kevin Costner was trying to do with his Horizon Saga, right? That also
Which to
kind of
me
failed.
also felt like these characters are way too cookie cutter for a
Hmm.
3 hour movie that's going to be three more 3 hour movies.
Well, after the failure of the first, I think there was a talk about splitting the last two into like miniseries, but that's beside the point. But
Yeah,
like again, I haven't seen
this
it.
Horizon reminds me a lot of this
I haven't even seen it, and it reminded me a lot of this.
from a structural standpoint and like a storytelling standpoint. I don't
Hmm.
think it's because like Camino obviously sees himself as an auteur filmmaker,
Yes.
and what he's trying to do here, Kevin Costner doesn't perceive himself that way. Like you can tell, I don't think
Hmm.
like he doesn't give off the vibe of like Horizon doesn't look like an auteur made the
Okay.
movie. This does have the feeling that like an auteur filmmaker, like a director was making this movie. But
Yes.
unfortunately, it was to its detriment, and that nobody reined him in.
Hmm. Can
And
we? Oh, sorry. Okay.
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say like I might be dumb. Okay, I might be stupid. So that's on me. But can we please talk about the actual ending because I have no fucking clue what was that meant to uh be? Like the scene on a boat? Like I don't know if you were gonna make any other points. So if so, please make them because I
Where like
really would
Chris
like to pick somebody else's
Christopherson's just
brain.
like a much older man, and he's just like chilling.
But he's with a woman who looks kind of like Isabella, but I don't. I'm like, but
It's
that's
not
not
her.
her, right?
No.
No, yeah. But he has his picture, so he's with this beautiful woman who kind of looks like her, but he still has the picture of when he was younger with Isabel. But he has got a new woman. I was
Well,
like,
because
is
Luke,
that?
he never let it go.
I was gonna say, is that meant to just say as
I'm
simple
pretty
as
sure that's exactly what that's
okay?
supposed to be.
Because for a moment I thought, wait, did she survive those like 8 bullet holes last time we seen her?
No, he's a aging man who can never let go his true love that we never really bought into because they didn't spend a good enough time really fleshing out these characters. But he will marry a woman who looks like her and will never let it go ever again.
And speaking of that, did you see that scene by the way when they all stepped out? Did you that came out of nowhere? I was like, okay, the guys survived.
That was
And then
wild.
suddenly,
Yep. I'm just like,
what?
people criticize Return of the King for how many endings it had. Like this movie just kept going. And it was just like, when's this gonna stop?
What I also
And
didn't understood why they didn't shoot him? Like, have I missed something? Why they
bad
shot because
armor.
there was Jeff Bridges, there was
Oh, you know
her.
what? They probably thought Jeff Bridges was Christopherson because they
Ah,
looked exactly like each
that's
other.
the okay, I guess.
That's my head canon. It's just like they're twins.
Because there's more of them than more than just the three of them. Two of them are already dead, and then they just stop shooting. I'm like, oh yeah, we're good here. We're going home. I'm like,
Well, Chris
why?
Christopherson whips out his gun and then like somehow like takes down the rest of them all by himself.
I was like, what the fuck?
This movie is it's disappointing because there's a lot of potential here. This might be
Yes.
the most disappointing movie of all time. One of the, but like this is not the worst movie ever made.
No.
It's just it's an unrefined passion project that went wrong. And
Like yes. I was just gonna like, underline my thoughts. If you want to bring me on like some sort of Odyssey, hint hint next year, maybe Christopher Nolan does the Odyssey correctly, and want to make it like 4 hours, great. But if I feel like when this credit starts to roll, when I feel like, hey, I haven't actually been there. I just watched something, but I'm not emotionally invested in any of these characters.
mm,
Something is wrong.
yes, well, I'd much rather go watch Kenneth Branagh's Hamlet for 4 hours than watch this
Mm.
3 hour and 39-minute movie again. But that's our discussion of Heaven's Gate. What a wild ride this movie was. But Luke, thank you so much as always for coming on chatting movies with me.
Always a boss, Shane. Thank you so much for having me.
And thank all of you for listening. Make sure to like, comment, and share on this episode. What's your favorite like epic Western? And that's the thing. I didn't even mention I'm a huge Western fan.
Same.
And this just didn't do it for me.
Mm-mm.
But what's your favorite epic Western? Make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. The SPDM Crew Podcasting Network is ever expanding. We have so many great shows with all different types of interest areas, especially movies for sure. But you'll find something that you like for sure. And if you want to join the crew, make sure to reach out on our website if you want to be a guest, like on this show, and watch some random movie that comes off of my watch list, or if you want to start your own podcast. And if you like our logo, check out HiFlyer Creative for all your digital marketing needs. But most importantly, thank you as always for tuning in and supporting the Wasteland Watchlist here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network.